Shavan said, tonight, once again, questions essentially being raised about how exactly is Pakistan viewing their own internal security. A failed state goes on making several allegations, this at a time when their own ministers are making bizarre statements. Up first, these are the headlines we're tracking for you, and then the burning question. Day after Bilawal, it's another Pakistan minister spewing venom against India. Pakistan minister threatens India with nuclear war.
हमने नॉर्थ ईस्ट के विकास से जुड़ी अनेक रुकावटों को रेड कार्ड दिखा दिया है।
Prime Minister Modi in poll-bound Meghalaya and Tripura launches projects worth thousands of crores.
अब एक तरफ चाइना हमें आंखें दिखा रहा है और दूसरी तरफ मैं देख रहा था कि चाइना को इसका इनाम देते जा रहे हैं।
Arvind Kejriwal attack center over Tawang. Face-off asks why Modi government is buying from China. Big boost to Indian Navy stealth-guided missile destroyer Mormuga commissioned in a grand ceremony. Shraddha Viran in Jharkhand, man murders wife, chops into pieces and disposes of parts in remote areas.
हमारी भ्रष्टाचार के विरोध में लड़ाई की जो प्रतिबद्धता है उसको दर्शाने वाला ऐसा ये कानून हमारे मुख्यमंत्री एकनाथ शिंदे जी के नेतृत्व में हमने लाया है।
Fadnavis confirms Lokayukta bill to be introduced in upcoming winter session. Cabinet approves Anna Hazare committee report. Getting in some more breaking news right now. Last night, Tehreek-e-Taliban, Pakistan killed a soldier with a laser gun in Malikhel area of Jadikhel Tehsil of Bannu district. That's in Pakistan. In fact, Tehreek-e-Taliban, Pakistan attacked the Nala checkpost of Tehsil Bar of Khyber Agency. That's in Peshawar province, in which 4 FC personnel have been killed. In fact, today morning in Zakharkhel area of Gudiyam Tehsil of North Waziristan, Tehreek-e-Taliban killed a soldier through a sniper and destroyed a spy camera. FC personnel attacked a convoy of Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan in Lumberbat area of Arnudu Tehsil of Chitral district. This is in Malakand province. Attack took place earlier in the day. TTP has retaliated by killing 2 FC personnel and managed to escape safely. Now that's the latest details coming in. Tonight we're also going to debate about what's really happening in Pakistan, and despite a state which finds itself in dire states, manages to point fingers towards the neighbors. Let me bring in my colleague Gursimran, who is joining us on the phone line right now. Gursimran, it seems that the Tehreek-e-Taliban is all out to put the Pakistani administration on the map.
Yes, Shavan, there is no doubt to it that in past couple of days, when the ceasefire agreement between the Pakistan and the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan has ended after the negotiations failed with the Afghanistan Taliban, now they have gone all out against the Pakistan. In the past 24 hours, 3 attacks have been carried out and 1 counter-attack in which the terrorists, which Pakistan cornered by the Pakistani Frontier Corps, they retaliated, and in the retaliation there were 2 Frontier Corps personnel.
We'll try and reconnect with Gursimran. Just a quick recap of what we know so far. Till the time we get Gursimran on the phone line, as of now, reports are essentially suggesting that 8 soldiers killed. We'll stay with the story and the visuals right now, as this is a developing situation. We'll also try and get in Gursimran to get us more details. In fact, we'll try and get him live. This seems to be big story emerging from Pakistan at this point in time. The battle has basically intensified. Tehreek-e-Taliban intensifying their attack on the Pakistani forces. The latest reports now coming in, at least 8 soldiers have been killed. That's what we are picking up right now. The attack that has been carried out by Tehreek-e-Taliban and multiple provinces, Bannu province particularly, also in Peshawar province, where the attacks have taken place, is what we are being told. The FC personnel in retaliation have now attacked the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan in Lumberbat area, is what we are being told. TTP has also retaliated by killing 2 FC personnel, and they've managed to escape safely. We'll try and go across to my colleague Gursimran. Gursimran is getting us the latest details. Gursimran, what more are you picking up? Because it seems that the battle between Tehreek-e-Taliban and the Pakistani armed forces is only increasing.
Yes, Shawan, and these areas where they are carrying out the attacks, including the Peshawar and the Bannu province, they are considered to be stronghold of Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan. And when Imran Khan was in power and there was no ceasefire agreement, it was of the August last year, they intensified their operations to such an extent that they carried out 100 attacks in a single month. So this time also, as the ceasefire has ended between the Pakistani government and the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan, after the negotiations that were being carried out by the Taliban in Afghanistan, they landed nowhere, and the Pakistani government refused to release the prisoners of Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan. Now they have intensified their attacks. If we speak of last 24 hours only, 4 attacks have been carried out by the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan, including one which was a retaliatory attack after they were caught in the cordon led by the Frontier Corps of the Pakistan. So now they have warned of multiple such attacks in the coming days. They have said that till the time the Pakistan don't agree to their terms and conditions, which they have already conveyed to the Pakistani establishment, these attacks will be intensified. And this also shows that how Pakistan's diplomatic channels have also failed, because what Pakistan was of the view that post-Taliban taking over the regime in Afghanistan, the Taliban will extend the support to them in tackling the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan. But the thing seems to have gone out of the hands of the Pakistan, and now they are facing the wrath of the TTP as they have gone all out against the Pakistan. Shawan.
Gursimran, I'll request you to stay on, as also joined by Major Gaurav Arya, who's joining us on the phone line. Major Gaurav Arya, it seems that the battle has only intensified. At the end of the day, it is the Tehreek-e-Taliban that the Pakistani armed forces were basically nurturing all this while, and it seems that they are now finding it extremely difficult to manage them. We'll try and reconnect with Major Gaurav Arya in a short while from now. But as Gursimran was also pointing out, for a state which has only nurtured the Taliban all this while, it seems that they are now going completely out of control. Not the first attack that has taken place. Remember, even after the hostile takeover in Afghanistan, one of the biggest concerns was what exactly would the Tehreek-e-Taliban in Pakistan essentially do, given the fact that they seem to be completely disillusioned with the Pakistani authorities. Now that's the latest now coming in. These are the latest images that we have accessed. Only Network getting you full details of what's really happening right now in Pakistan, as it does appear that multiple fronts have essentially been opened up by the Tehreek-e-Taliban. But even as Pakistan fails to manage its own home, what's essentially happening is that, like always, they feel extremely comfortable. Rather, they dare to threaten India. And that too, a nuclear threat this time. Day after Bilawal Bhutto launched an attack on India, it's another Pakistani minister. But what's even more bizarre is that they're trying to threaten India, and not just an ordinary threat. It's a nuclear threat that is issued by a Pakistani minister. As far as India is concerned, India has made it abundantly clear that these are statements that have been made by Pakistani ministers who should not be taken extremely seriously. But having said that, it's time that Pakistan perhaps takes care of their own home before making or before pointing fingers at others. Take a look at this report and then we start the debate.
Days after Pakistan Foreign Minister Bilawal Bhutto acted like the spokesperson for terrorist Osama bin Laden,
Osama bin Laden is dead, but the butcher of Gujarat lives. And he is the Prime Minister of India. He was banned from entering this country until he became Prime Minister. This is the Prime Minister of the RSS and the Foreign Minister of the RSS.
On Saturday, another Pakistan minister, Shazia Mari, threatened India with a nuclear war.
पाकिस्तान अगर थप्पड़ पड़ेगा तो उसका जवाब भी थप्पड़ से देगा। भारत का कोई मिनिस्टर किसी भी फोरम पर मोदी सरकार के दिफा में इतना अंधा हो जाएगा कि वो ये नहीं सोचेगा कि वो एक न्यूक्लियर मुल्क के लिए, पाकिस्तान जैसे न्यूक्लियर मुल्क के लिए ऊल फूल बक सकता है, तो ये उसकी गलती है।
Later, in an attempt to salvage the situation, Shazia Mari tweeted this and claimed that External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar had incited Pakistan. 4 days after India's External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar made this veiled reference to Pakistan hosting Osama just meters away from their military compound in Abbottabad,
the question of justifying what the world regards as unacceptable should not even arise. That certainly applies to state sponsorship of cross-border terrorism. Nor can hosting Osama bin Laden and attacking a neighboring parliament serve as credentials to sermonize before this council.
Pakistan's leaders are unable to come to terms with this undisputed fact. Pakistani leaders were issuing nuclear threats to India, which successfully tested 5,000 kilometers range Agni 5 missile, need a reality check on whether it can afford a nuclear war. In fact, just 6 days ago, US had blacklisted 6 Pakistani firms for alleged risk of nuclear technology threat. At a time when Pakistan has put up its embassy in Washington, D.C. on sale to battle its dwindling economy, should Pakistan first get its priorities right? Is Pakistan slowly losing the plot? Let's debate.
Joining us on the burning question tonight are Sardar R.P. Singh, spokesperson of the BJP, General Dhruv Katoch, Sushil Pandit, Mustafa Baloch, leader of the PPP, Faraz Saeed, political analyst joining us from Lahore, and Omar Altaf, journalist joining us from Islamabad. Opening up the burning question, a face-off between Sardar R.P. Singh and Mustafa Baloch. Let's have both of them on the screens tonight. Sardar R.P. Singh, your opening comments. You've heard what the Pakistani minister had to say. Bizarre, callous, one may say so, but that's the reality of what we are dealing with. One of our neighbors who believes that at the drop of the hat, they can say that nuclear threat, and that's how India supposedly is going to be worried. I want the debate between Sardar R.P. Singh and Mustafa Baloch then can respond.
Well, Pakistan is known for such statements, and who's bothered about such statement? I mean, their ministers earlier also have issued such statement when Imran Khan was the Prime Minister or Nawaz Sharif was the Prime Minister, and now Shahbaz Sharif is the Prime Minister. They keep issuing such statement, but they shouldn't forget that we have gone inside and done the surgical strike and Balakot in their territories, one. Secondly, and they should not forget, how are you forgetting this Pakistan leaders speaking this language? How could he forget the one of the MP in the parliament, what he said, that the day the Indian soldier has to come back, he went and met the army chief, and army chief was sweating. And then he was sweating because there was a clear message that if you don't send the Indian Air Force soldier back, you'll be in trouble. Pakistan will be in trouble. And probably Pakistan won't be there. So instead of issuing such statement, they should more work on how to look into their internal matter or internal issues. We just gone through a report on the Taliban, how Taliban is working. I remember Mrs. Clinton, Hillary Clinton, said long back that if you keep snakes in your backyard, they will come someday to bite you. And it's happening. So they need to manage their affair more than giving the nuclear threat or speaking the gutter language which their foreign minister has spoken.
But unfortunately, what happens is Mustafa Baloch, you would essentially not want to look into what's really happening in your own country. Now, if you really look at the writ of your own government, at least I would say that 11% of the territory of your own territory is not under your own control. And as I began this debate, I actually showed you visuals that were coming in of Tehrik-e-Taliban running amok. You can't control your own country, and then you essentially are trying to threaten your neighbor. Your neighbor has always been professing the fact that we are only interested in the development and the progress of our own people. Unlike you, we are not running around with a begging bowl to the West.
Well, see, the fact is that, yes, Pakistan is a nuclear country, and the sooner the leaders of RSS will realize and understand this, the better for them.
Oh.
First of all, the statement of our Honorable Federal Minister Shazia Marie was twisted by your Indian media. She was just claiming that, yes, we are a nuclear country, and the External Affairs Minister of India should realize and should think twice before claiming and blaming Pakistan to be the epicenter of terrorism, which is false. See, we are more concerned about our own matters, unlike you guys who are more interested in our domestic politics. We are not concerned about what's happening in India, what's happening with the Sikh community in India, how the farmers are being oppressed, how the Muslim community is being oppressed in India. We don't care. Yes, we are concerned about the Muslims in India who have been butchered by the Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi. But we are not concerned about your domestic politics. But we are, surprised that Bilawal Bhutto has, created a huge panic
Mustafa Baloch, you can continue ranting. You can continue ranting. You can continue ranting. But can you give me a simple answer? If you are so very concerned, please tell me, isn't it correct when your own former President Zardari himself had to say that he had to go to the West and essentially say that we are on the brink of being overtaken by radicals in the country? It's not we who said that. Can you actually deny the fact your own president at some point in time had to go to the West and say that we are being overtaken by the radicals?
We are the victims of terrorism, and we have always stood against terrorism. We don't promote any sort of terrorism in any country.
You're not victims. You've nurtured terrorism.
We also know there are a lot of proxy terrorism being done by India.
What is Tehrik-e-Taliban? What is Tehrik-e-Taliban?
And how India has tried to
you yourself stop fooling the entire world. What is Tehrik-e-Taliban, Mustafa Baloch? Tehrik-e-Taliban?
Can you ask him the statement of Imran Khan?
We have played the most constructive role in Afghanistan, if you really want to hear that. Sardar RP Singh wants to respond. Sardar RP Singh.
No. Please, just very simple, small statement.
Talk about
Sir, Imran Khan made a statement as a Prime Minister of the country. He made a statement as a Prime Minister of the country saying that we have more than 40,000 terrorists in our country. What do we do of them?
Why are you obsessed with Pakistan? Why is India obsessed
with
Pakistan?
No, we are not obsessed. The world is obsessed with Pakistan. Because
the center of attention is Pakistan.
Pakistan is the
bites you, the blame goes to Pakistan.
Every terrorist activity generates from. Any terrorist activity happening anywhere in the world, whether it is in London, whether it is in America, whether it is in France, it generates from
Bilawal Bhutto, or they are talking about Pakistan, or they are talking about Pak Army, our proud army, which has served a lot for the nation, and we stand by our own foreign minister who has said the truth. Because if you
let's talk about what do Imran Khan has to say about your army?
If you give false allegations,
what do Zardari have to say about your country? The father of Bilawal Bhutto.
Strong response. He is son of Shahid Mohtarama Benazir Bhutto. He is grandson of Shahid Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, who was the leader of South Asia.
Now,
what
you
are you
may, Faraz saying,
kneeling down
we are not led by
to India saying, help me out, other army,
Sardar RP Singh,
And
Sardar
how
RP
he
Singh
was
does not.
killed?
Mustafa Baloch.
What happened to Bhutto?
Mustafa Baloch.
What happened to his
You are so
grandfather
very proud.
Bhutto?
Sardar
What happened
RP
to his
Singh, I have
mother?
something to.
Some kind
I
of
have something.
fascist
I have
leader
something.
who has
Okay,
ruined
Sardar
the
RP
rights
Singh
of
and
Kashmiris.
Mustafa Baloch. Mustafa Baloch. Hold on. 1 minute. Some of the data that I want to read it out to you, just to remind you of where you stand today. I want Faraz Saeed and General Dhruv Katoch to also come in. Pakistan's education lags behind Bangladesh's. Only 0.7% of the Pakistani GDP is spent on health. Literacy rate is at 53%. Poverty is at 24%. The population growth is just booming, and it's at the highest level in the subcontinent. A budget deficit of about 7.5% of the GDP, above the government's target of 4.7%. Infrastructure is lagging. Power shortage by about 4,000 megawatts, and blackouts become quite predominant. 18 hours a day are to be something that one cannot avoid. Now, if you really take a look at it, Faraz Saeed, I think so your government should rather be talking about this than actually trying to threaten a neighbor which has been far more restrained, and we have only showed you the place every time you've tried to provoke us.
Thank you for having me. First of all, I would rather want to engage myself into an informed argument. You're right, Pakistan is facing some economic hardships, and not just Pakistan, but the world over. It's Europe and US. The economic situations are worsening thanks to COVID, but I would rather want to highlight some misunderstandings which just got worse between the two honorable gentlemen. First, the statement made by Bilal Bhutto, our Pakistan's foreign minister, and then the Honorable Minister Shazia Mari's retort to Jaishankar, Minister of External Affairs of India. So I would rather want to start with Mr. Jaishankar. Mr. Jaishankar has a reputation that he has made over the past year, primarily that gauges around India's standpoint in Ukrainian crisis. And the world has acknowledged Mr. Jaishankar's hard-fought, strong opinion. However, this time the world wasn't reacting to Mr. Jaishankar back then. The United States was silent because India has a larger economy. The Europeans was silent because, again, Mr. Jaishankar had a point. But this time alone, Mr. Bilal Bhutto, and then Shazia Mari had a strong retort, because again, when you're talking about Pakistan being the one who's propagating terrorism, we also have people in mind. For instance, Kulbhushan Yadav, serving Indian Navy commander who was caught in Balochistan and is being tried for espionage, for terrorism. Well, that has not been Pakistan, but India. When you will try to school Pakistan as some Montessori child, we will have a retort that because
again, worse than what children in the kindergarten
what Mr. Jaishankar's statement was.
Now, you've made your point. Faraz Saeed.
Mr. Jaishankar has been doing that. Mr. Jaishankar has been doing that. He has been scolding the world media.
What S. Jaishankar essentially did was to show you the mirror. Can anyone deny this? And please go back to your so-called friends who's only doled out from time to time to ensure that you survive. Even they would tell you how they essentially view you as a threat. And that is the reason why, General Dhruv Katoch, I want to get into some more specifics. I think Faraz Saeed does not want to really talk about issues that a nation should be talking about. And just look at this. I was just reading another report, not by any Indian. Now, this is a report that has been published by a Pakistani in a Western publication, where they're essentially talking about how they are slipping. Foreign exchange reserves have now gone down. It's under $13 billion. 2 months of import requirements if this continues. Now, look at the condition right now. Back when Parvez Musharraf was taking over, that time too, the economy was on the brink. Today, General Dhruv Katoch, their economy is once again on the brink, but yet they have the audacity to basically talk about everything else rather than talking about themselves and their own condition. And General Dhruv Katoch, Farah Said says time and again, like a broken wheel, like every Pakistani analyst wants to talk about, is Kulbhushan. Can we now put this into perspective, General Dhruv Katoch, as far as Kulbhushan Jadhav is concerned? What they basically allege, they don't remember what has really transpired in the international court. They've forgotten about it. So I think so, General Dhruv Katoch, why don't you just remind them?
Yes, thank you, Shivan. Firstly, as far as Commander Kulbhushan is concerned, he was taken from Iran. That has been confirmed by the Iranians. So I think any statement made by the Pakistanis of this person being in Balochistan and captured there is a misstatement. This I've had from the highest authorities as far as Iran is concerned. So it is a clear case of kidnapping in which I think the Pakistanis should be held liable for their conduct. This is one. Number two, when we are looking at the situation in Pakistan, there are four major areas. One, of course, the economy is in the doldrums. Number two, they've got tremendous civil strife going on, which is going to exacerbate in the times to come. Number three is their internal security problems, which are getting worse. If a country is going to lose 8 soldiers on a single day, and on an average 10 to 15 soldiers every month, or the uniform fraternity, that includes the police also, I think they're facing a very serious credibility crisis. As far as the Tehreek-e-Taliban is concerned, there is no way in which the Pakistan military or their paramilitary forces will be able to control them in the territory adjoining the Afghan-Pakistan border, because that is where the Taliban is also, the TTP is being given support from across the border. So for the Pakistanis to even think that they will be able to control them is out of the question. I can say that as a military person, which is why the Pakistan army was very keen on a ceasefire. So they had a ceasefire, but that ceasefire has broken down. Now I want to get down to the two statements, one made by Ms. Shazia Murray. The first thing which people should realize, using the nuclear word, I think is totally off course. We don't use these words, not in civilized society. A nuclear weapon, for the people who understand nuclear weapons, are not for use. I'm not saying they are showpieces, but they are not for use. They are simply weapons of deterrence. That means if somebody attacks you with a nuclear weapon, then you have got an option to retaliate appropriately. It is not meant for normal routine exchanges to say, okay, if we lose a football match or a cricket match, I'm going to throw a nuclear weapon on you. I mean, that level of immaturity in the polity within Pakistan, I think, is absolutely amazing. The second question was the absurd statements made by the Pakistani Foreign Minister, Bilawal Bhutto. I think he needs to be reminded that in 1971, when the genocide took place, 3 million at that point of time, East Pakistanis and now Bangladeshis were killed in cold blood. Most of them were Muslims. 3 million. I think people should need to get an account as to how much is 3 million. Number two, hundreds of thousands of women were raped, and these women were kept as hostages, as prostitutes in the camps. No military does that. No military with any iota of dignity. That is why the people of Bangladesh rose up against the Pakistani state, and that is why they lost that part of the country. So let us get down to Bilawal's mother. What happened? The rules which she made as far as Islam is concerned. She created a law by which a portion of the Muslim community in Pakistan was considered as non-Muslim. Well, that is her doing. So when they start to tell us about the Muslims in India, etc., I think the only people who are laughing are the Indian Muslims. They say, who are these fellows to talk to us? I mean, the rest of the country, as it is not interested, but the Indian Muslims
there are
laugh
many
at them.
actually for that.
Common Indian
I want
Muslim.
Umar Altaf, General Katoch. General Katoch, I want Umar Altaf to come in. Umar Altaf, what you should be really worried about, rather than being really worried about the Indian Muslims here, because honestly speaking, they are not the ones who are worried here. In fact, there are many Indian Muslims who will come and tell you that look at your own condition, and you should be worried about. Look at some more indexes. As far as the failed state index that is released, General Katoch, Pakistanis are not very far behind. And look at the countries that they're not far behind of. Somalia, Zimbabwe,
Yes.
Sudan. You're giving stiff competition, Omar Altaf, to Somalia.
Shivan, may I just make one statement? Just one more statement, please.
General Khatoj, just quickly make that point, and then I want Omar Altaf to really be concerned. Right. Omar Altaf, are you more worried? Are you more worried about the fact that you're giving close competition to Somalia? General Khatoj, make that
one quick statement. My point is, to Ms. Murray is this: there is no way in which India is interested in breaking up Pakistan. The Pakistani state is doing an excellent job by itself. We are simply watching. Thank you.
Okay.
Omar Altaf, answer this question. You've heard what General Khatoj had to say, but okay, just a straight question. I know you would love to get into the rhetoric. One second. Unlike, we are a mature democracy. And honestly speaking, I think so every Indian also wants at the end of the day that Pakistan needs to be stable. It's good for the entire region. And that's exactly what General Khatoj is saying, that we are not interested in you breaking into parts. You will do it all by yourself. You're capable of doing it. But the fact of the matter is that Pakistan happens to be the 10th most failed state of the world. I'm not saying this. It's the failed state indexes, giving very close competition to Somalia, Zimbabwe. Aren't you worried about that?
No, obviously there are economic troubles, but first I would like to respond to General Khatoj. I think being an ex-Indian military officer, is he aware of the Kunan Pushpura incident where Indian army officers raped Kashmiri women? Is he aware of that?
I'll answer that.
Pakistani
army. I will answer that immediately.
Yeah.
I will answer that immediately.
Let him, General Khatoj wants to answer. General Khatoj, why don't you respond?
The Kunan Pushpura case has been a fabricated case which has been proved time and time again.
It's fabricated.
And that has been done by the people of Kunan Pushpura, right? So leave that aside.
The people of Kashmir have risen up
against
your army. Your army commits rape in Kashmir. Kashmiri women have been raped. There are unmarked graves in Kashmir. Kashmiri, how the Indian army is treated in Kashmir. How many soldiers have you lost in Kashmir? You quote a fabricated story that 8 Pakistani soldiers have been killed. That's not the case. There is a hostage situation where TTP fighters have attacked a police station in Bannu. There is a hostage situation. It's not 8 army soldiers have been killed. So you are living in denial.
There are reports that have come in.
Believing fake stories as an Indian army officer, I think you should have better sources and read news from credible sources. So it's very unfortunate that you resort to such lies on national TV.
This information has come from Pakistan, incidentally.
What if that story is proven to be untrue?
Omar Altaf, there are reports that are suggesting that we have quoted those reports. Omar Altaf, if you're a journalist worth of your salt,
what's your source for that?
Worth any salt, then one second, Omar Altaf. One second. Next time you make that kind of sweeping statement, first of all, you have the opportunity. One second. First of all, Omar Altaf, hold on. Do not even dare shout me down. 1 minute.
No,
Omar
but
Altaf.
where are you pulling these news from?
If you're a journalist
the general should be
more then kindly remember there were reports that were quoted. There were reports that were quoted.
Television
1 second, Omar Altaf.
Tells the credibility and integrity of a senior Indian army officer. That's how your army officers lie on TV.
Do not even think of questioning the integrity of General Khatoj. General Khatoj has basically, the moment General Khatoj puts you on the mat, is asking you a simple question. You essentially are trying to put that. What I'll do is for you, for your benefit, General Khatoj, just hold on. I don't think so. It's not even worth General Khatoj to respond to such lame below the belt comments. First of all, I don't even want to bring in General Khatoj to respond to you because I'll do the job. Reason why? I want our producers to now put out those images. Look at what happens when you breathe snakes in your backyard. Take a look at this picture, Umar Altaf, and then try and tell the world that everything is really hunky-dory.
So
In fact, you are having a bed of roses for the Tehreek-e-Taliban, and flower petals are being showered. Flower petals are being showered by the Tehreek-e-Taliban for your soldiers. 1 minute, let's go full frame. Let's go full frame with those images that have come in. Those images have come in from Pakistan itself. Take a look at this Tehreek-e-Taliban thing. Next time you say that, no, Umar Altaf, before you raise a question on any Indian military officer, think twice. This is what happens to your country. Take a look at it. I'll put that once again for you. I don't want General Katoch to be brought in this kind of mudslinging. I don't want him to be brought in at all. Simply because Sushil Pandit wants to respond. Sushil Pandit, now they have the audacity. They have the audacity to basically raise questions. First, one second. You have at least, you should be thanking. You are coming on one of India's most watched television network, and you dare question the authenticity of the information that we put out. So kindly do not do that. Sushil Pandit wants to respond. Sushil Pandit, take it forward.
Have you forgotten
this raving and ranting by someone called Altaf on your show doesn't do any justice to a decent dialogue, a decent debate. We are here to interact. There are some precedences. Pakistan is a repeat offender in brandishing a nuclear threat. They used to have someone called Sheikh Rashid in Imran Khan's government. He is infamously supposed to have mentioned about Pau Pau ke nuclear bomb. That time also, being a minister in the government, he was not criticized or shut up by his prime minister. The entire system in Pakistan reeks of this bravado, nuclear bravado, every now and then. And this doesn't belong in the civilized world as we know it. As General Katoch very rightly said, nuclear weapons are for mere deterrence. But we have a flaw in our policy. I believe we are the only country, only nuclear power in the world that has publicly said that we will never use it. We never be the country to use it first. No first use nuclear doctrine is our publicly stated commitment to the world. It is because of this commitment that these two-twit states like Pakistan get into the habit of brandishing their nuclear weapons every now and then. Because tomorrow, if someone in India were to take this threat seriously, we are within our rights to have a preemptive strike. Nuclear threats are not simple, easy, everyday threats to just be taken in our stride. The world knows about it. No responsible nuclear power ever brandishes these threats to anyone. Pakistan is a rogue, failing state doing it as a habit every now and then. And since these threats are very clearly brandished at us, we should be under no misconception that these are only empty threats, because you never know the kind of minds that deal with Pakistani nuclear assets. It's a zoo run by monkeys. And you have all kinds of monkeys coming to power and talking all kinds of bullshit. And we have no business. I agree with them that we should not talk about their internal problems. There is a gentleman who calls himself Mustafa Baloch, and he talks about atrocities in India with a name called Baloch. He has a cheek to talk about atrocities in some other region of the world and not look at himself. What is happening to Balochistan? It's a
they
joke.
Have zero control.
Baloch talks about atrocities elsewhere.
Sushil Pandit.
But I'm not finished yet. I heard
Sushil Pandit. In fact, when I started this debate,
so have some decency and etiquette.
Okay, Mustafa, Sushil Pandit. I want to take it forward.
I did not interrupt you.
One of their noted experts.
Pakistan can
in
go
fact,
to
Mustafa Baloch.
We should not be bothered if they want to drown themselves in debt.
you know, I'll answer that question. Why Mustafa Baloch? Mustafa Baloch, 1 minute.
If the jihadis, they prop up, it is their
Mustafa
business.
Baloch.
Talking about
Mustafa Baloch.
you were
Mustafa
talking about
Baloch. Hear me out.
some legitimate
Mustafa
facts.
Baloch. Okay, 1 minute.
Allow me
You
to
will have
just,
a problem. No, one second.
Mustafa
Baloch, 1 minute. Before you, I'll give you the chance to respond. I'll give you the chance to respond. But hear me out.
I need to first finish making my point.
Sushil Pandit, just give me a minute. I'll bring you back. You know, the part that you basically raised also, Mustafa Baloch, none other than one of your Pakistani experts, Ahmed Rashid, has essentially argued why Pakistan is failing. And he says that the government's writ does not run in about 11% of the territory, most especially in the NWFP and in Balochistan. Linking it with what Sushil Pandit has to say, Sushil Pandit essentially also says you have the audacity to basically talk about us when you do not have control in half part of your country only, and look at what has happened right now with the Tehrik-e-Taliban. And then you would say that, okay, look here, this is just a hostage situation. For Omar Altaf, it's a beautiful situation after all. At the end of the day, it's just a hostage situation. And a hostage situation, Omar Altaf, you should answer whose hostage situation? Hostage situation, who's involved in it? Why don't you name? You are, such a respected journalist with all authentic information. Why don't you tell the entire world who's been taken into hostage? But Mustafa Baloch, first, why don't you take that question with you?
The policeman in Bannu.
I just wanted to state one interesting article published in Times of India, which is obviously credible for you
Mustafa
guys,
Baloch,
which stated
one second.
Can you hear me?
I can't hear you, Mustafa Baloch.
Allow me to fix my audio, then I'll... Can you hear me now?
Sushil Pandit, you want to complete? Sushil Pandit,
yes, I want to
complete
complete first. Yes. I want to make a point. I think the panelists from Pakistan are absolutely right. If they have to export donkeys in order to get rid of their debt, it is their problem. If they have millions suffering from flood without any assistance, without any aid from the government, it is their problem.
Mustafa Baloch, 1 minute, hold on. Mustafa Baloch, just hold on. Hear what
their own civilians are getting killed, where their own armed forces are getting stretched,
Mustafa
it
Baloch,
is
just
their
hold on. Don't speak over the other.
What was the reason? Why was he denied to enter into
furthering the cause of your Pakistani panelists. I'm saying if they are drowning in debt, if they have a bankrupt economy, if they are in a fratricidal war where the jihadis bred and reared by them are killing their own,
if Bilawal Bhutto said
if they want to host
the butcher of Gujarat was barred from entering US, then he was right.
If they host Mullah Omar,
it's a fact stated in your own credible newspaper. So how can you deny that?
Credible newspapers reported about Osama bin Laden. Credible newspapers reported about Mullah Omar. Credible newspapers reported about Mullah Akhtar Mansoor. You have been harboring designated terrorists. You have been conducting camps of these jihadis across your country. You have become a migraine to the world, as per Madeleine Albright, the Secretary of State in USA under Bill Clinton. You've been accused of rearing snakes in your backyard by another Secretary of State, Hillary Clinton, under Barack Obama. You have been castigated by the world repeatedly, again and again, not by India, by your own allies who sustain you, who feed you, who bail you out of bankruptcy, not us. And then you have a cheek to brandish nuclear threats at the drop of the hat. Are you out of your mind?
Okay.
Is this how
Sushil Pandit, you made a point. I want Mustafa Baloch to respond. Civilization and Pakistan do not really go hand in hand, but still, Mustafa Baloch, why don't you respond? And then I want Sardar RP Singh to also come in. Sardar RP Singh will also take in the question. You want to once again harp on what Bilawal Bhutto has to say? Go ahead, fair enough. You can keep trying. You can keep trying. And Sardar RP Singh can then respond.
Nobody has answered whether it was a nuclear threat or not. It's not a nuclear threat. It is just a communication, a vitriolic communication, and that has always been two-way.
What do you mean? When you say
Who
we
is
are a nuclear
answering
state,
that?
what do you mean?
Your
Are
distorted
you breaking
facts.
news?
You are
When you
just coming
say you
up
are
with
a
distorted
nuclear
facts
state, are
with
you
no
breaking?
ground. Your
You are
Indian
obviously
commanders,
brandishing a threat.
your Indian commanders, your generals have been upping the ante of terrorism, have been upping the ante of attacking
We
Pakistan.
talk about nuclear threat.
Are your commanders
Terrorism
wrong?
doesn't lie in your mouth.
Your
The
generals,
word terrorism, you should detest using it because it implicates you in
What do you mean by
even
your
more.
generals?
commanders.
Talk
No,
about
what do you mean by your generals? Which general are you talking
Arrested
about?
in
And which comment are you
Pakistan.
talking
Your
about?
serving
Which
commanders.
comment are you talking about?
Your
Farah
serving
Saeed.
generals.
Farah Saeed.
Let me
Farah
call
Saeed. Farah Saeed.
General
1 minute.
Upendra.
When you make these kind of
General
comments,
Upendra.
1 minute. You know, if you
General
want Farah Saeed, for your benefit, Farah Saeed, I'll once again play out what your so-called honorable minister had to say, and then please tell me that we are misquoting. If you do not have it, please tell me. I'll send it across to you. Why don't you hear it yourself?
What I'm trying to say is, it has always been a two-way communication. It has always been a
What is two-way about this nuclear threat?
When was the last
When was the last that
India issued any sort of a nuclear threat to your country?
Rajnath Singh threatened Pakistan.
We are basically talking about the obvious. Sardar RP Singh. Pakistan occupied Kashmir. 1 minute. Farah Saeed, you may want to live the dream. You may want to live the dream. We are not threatening you. We are not threatening you. We are just stating the obvious. We are stating the reality. You are basically threatening with a nuclear attack. We are simply saying, as far as Pakistan occupied Kashmir is concerned, that is very much part of our Kashmir, and we are going to get it back. That is all that Rajnath Singh had to say. Sardar RP Singh, am I correct or not? Did we say that we are going to attack? Did we say that we are going to use a nuclear attack on Pakistan?
No way. No way. And as
our
Sushil
policy is very different, and we are a
policy,
mature democracy.
No. Sushil rightly said we have a policy of no first attack as far as nuclear attack goes, and we are clear on this, and we stand by that. But on Pakistan occupied Jammu Kashmir, not Pakistan occupied Kashmir, it's a resolution resolved by our parliament, and then the country stand by that resolution. And yes, our generals have rightly said that whenever the government of India will give us the signal, we'll go ahead and do it. So, and then our army has proven it again and again, whether it was Balakot or other surgical strike. But whom are we talking to? I mean, a country which was in grey list till recently. Till recently, the country was in a grey list, has tried its best to come out of the grey list now. And what is the grey list about? That they are funding, they are using their land for terrorism, terrorist activities, and also, and then what country are we talking about who are selling their diplomatic assets for paying their salaries, for paying their administrative salaries here? So this is the condition of the Pakistan. And top of it, the lady has a cheek to say, the minister has a cheek to say that, oh, we have nuclear weapon and we can use that nuclear weapon. I'll appreciate the Prime Minister should try to make his ministers understand how to conduct in public life, how to behave in public life. One using a nuclear threat, other using a gutter language against the twice duly elected Prime Minister of one of the biggest democracies in the world, and a leader who's seen as a statesman in the world today. So they have to understand this, and probably I'm hopeful that Mr. Sharif will make his ministers understand. Otherwise, it will cost them very heavily because it will bring them to a different level in the world political affairs.
But in fact, Farah Saeed, you've got your answer? You seem to be having a problem with Farah Saeed. Omar Altaf, why don't you come in? Omar Altaf, let's try and make this a slightly more serious for you, hoping that you'll give me a serious response rather than a frivolous one. You yourself know in your country, ethnic sectarian tensions have only been rising. Tell me something, why are you so very bothered about what really happens in India? And rather than really talking about the issues that really plague your own country, and for the sake of regional stability, Why isn't that your government essentially talks about what needs to be done there? You know it very well what happened to your former Prime Minister when Imran Khan was essentially going and trying to indicate that there is a full-fledged conspiracy at play. In fact, he had reached a stage where he had to praise India's foreign policy, rightly so. Thankfully, Imran Khan actually realized what was inevitable. But Omar Altaf, please tell me, why exactly that you don't see the mess just in front of your face?
Well, Imran Khan definitely has praised India's foreign policy, but he's also highlighted the atrocities committed by the Indian state in Kashmir. Why don't you talk about that as well? Now that you are quoting Imran Khan,
what
he's
atrocities you're talking about?
He's also talked about the state of
what
Muslims
atrocities
in India
is all because of the terrorists being sent by Pakistan. It's all saving our people from the terrorist activities of Pakistan.
I've been patiently listening to all the panelists.
Mind your language, sir. Mind your language.
Omar Altaf, first of all, 1 second. Omar Altaf, you're talking to a senior politician. 1 second, Sardar RP Singh. Omar Altaf, do I really now need to teach you manners? First, you make bizarre statements. That's okay. You're entitled to do so. But you're talking to a senior Indian politician. And all our politicians, at least here, do not make bizarre statements like yours, who end up at the drop of the hat not realizing the importance of issuing nuclear threats. Then you actually have the gall to try and disrespect a senior Indian politician. So do not dare do that. If you still want to make a point, go ahead and make your point, but do not try doing that, at least on my show. Go ahead, make your point, Omar Altaf. There seems to be some problem right now with his audio line. We'll try and reconnect with him.
I would like to add something that
Faraz as well as Mustafa.
It's absolutely.
If you talk about,
Faraz, you wanted to make a point. Go ahead.
The honourable Indian side would understand.
Mustafa, just hold on. Let Faraz. Mustafa, hold on. Let Faraz respond, and then General Katoch can also come in. Faraz, make your point.
The honourable Indian side will understand. These kind of communications have been made not just by Pakistani side but the Indian side as well. Your Prime Minister Modi has been using these anti-Pakistan slogans in his election campaigns. This is all political, and we do understand.
I don't see any.
There are honourable politicians. Let me complete. There are honourable politicians who are sitting on your panel. The politicians have been pandering to their local audience. Yes, and this comment that was made by the Honourable Minister Shazia Mari was only a retort to what was claimed by your Foreign Minister Jay Shankar. The problem is that this communication has always been two-way. The vitriolic communication has never been one-sided. And yes, let me make...
I don't understand, Faraz, in what language should I try and explain this to you? Faraz, you certainly come across
on your side.
Faraz, I'm assuming, 1 second. Faraz, I do not understand in which language should I try and explain this to you. You say that this was a retort. Retort to what? To what S. Jaishankar had to say? And what did S. Jaishankar essentially tell your Pakistani reporter? That you're asking this question to the wrong minister. 1 minute, hold on. Let me try and remind you. Why don't you jog your memory a little bit? 1 minute. Faraz Saeed, why don't you jog your memory a little bit? If you've not been able to follow the news properly, I'm helping you out a little bit more. And this is what happens. Your Pakistani reporter is asking a question to which S. Jaishankar very rightly pointed out, saying that, look here, you're asking the wrong minister. You should be asking the Pakistani minister, because it is Pakistan which needs to be doing the answering when it comes to harboring terrorism. And that is something that not only India, even some of your staunch allies, your so-called staunch allies have ended up making it clear that, look here, we have no other choice. We have no other choice but to help them out coming out of that brink. But the fact of the matter is that you are still finding yourself in dire consequences. And General Katoch, am I correct or not when we say that even the United States of America,
all right, you said.
Pakistanis keep going to very often. 1 minute, Faraz. Even United States of America because of their own compulsions, had to deal with Pakistan. They certainly do not want Pakistan to go the North Korea way. They do not essentially want Pakistan to become a Somalia, because at the end of the day, if that at all actually happens, and if at all they become a failed state, then it's only making the entire region extremely unstable. And that is the reason why the United States of America perhaps has no other choice but to give them the, the arms that they need time and again, General Katoch.
Very rightly said. You see, because in all my... just a minute, yeah.
Mr. Jaishankar quoted and one of your panelists quoted.
One second, Faraz, let General Katoch make the point and then you can make... Mustafa Baloch can end it.
Who created the Grand Jihadis? Who were it?
Okay, listen, we'll get to that.
The Americans created them to pit against...
General Katoch, why don't you respond? General Katoch, why don't you respond?
See, I think to the Pakistani panelists on the show, I just like to make one thing very clear. In all my interactions with the very senior think tank, with the think tanks and the senior leadership of the American military, they made it very clear that they are more concerned about a failed Pakistan, which is why they have been giving them support. That is one. I think there is to be, some sort of a thought in the way the Pakistani panelists are really presenting the problem. No one in India, in any of the political speeches which I have heard for many, many years now, not once has any political leader ever spoken against the people of Pakistan. But every time the concern has been terrorism emanating from Pakistan, and that is why the Indian stance today is terrorism and talks cannot go together. This has got nothing to do with the people of Pakistan. It's got everything to do with the Pakistani establishment, which continues to send terrorists across the border. That is one. So I think the second point is, when one of their spokespersons mentioned that I spoke about the Pakistan military, I think he didn't hear me correctly. My point was very clear. Both amongst the Pakistan military and police, they have lost 8 people. Now go and check your news channels from Pakistan. You will find that my statement is correct. Shivan, back to you.
Well, thank you very much, General Katoch, for putting this into perspective. I'm running short of time. I'd like to thank all our guests who are joining us on this burning question. Sardar R.P. Singh, General Dhruv Katoch, Sushil Pandit, Mustafa Baloch, Faraz Saeed and Umar Altaf for joining us on the burning question.
Amity has been ranked India's #1 private university for the 10th year by India Today, a testimony to Amity's world-class education whilst imbibing values and sanskars in students.
Hey Rahul, what's up?
Hey, kicked about our first date?
Of course.
Benefits up to rupees 30,000 only at the Citroën C3 Carnival. Book today.
एक दिन मैं सोते-सोते गिर गया और मुझे कुछ नहीं हुआ। पता है किसने किया? घोस्ट ने। मेरा दोस्त है। वो हर बार मुझे बचा लेता है। घोस्ट को कैसे पता मैं अंधेरे से डरता हूँ? घोस्ट मेरा दोस्त है। मिलोगे?
अरे कोई घोस्ट नहीं, रोनी के पापा ही हैं जो उसे सेफ रखते हैं। जैसे हैवेल्स लाइफ शील्ड वायर्स जो दिखते नहीं पर घर को सेफ रखते हैं। ना आग पकड़े, ना जहरीली गैस छोड़े। वायर्स दैट डोंट कैच फायर।
मजबूती डाली रूट्स में दिख रहा सबूत रे दूध से बना दूध रे शुरू हुआ सब दूध से बना दिया अटूट रे दिख रहा सबूत रे दूध से बना दूध रे शुरू हुआ सब दूध से शुरू हुआ सब दूध से I'ma be your boss and boss and boss and boss and I'ma be original boss and boss and yeah
Volkswagen Tygoon, India's safest SUVW. Volkswagen.